Resident Evil 9 Requiem is a survival horror that unravels the mystery behind the ruins of Raccoon City, the new protagonist Grace and her purpose, the remnants of Umbrella, and the mysterious hope for humanity named Elpis. It perfectly captures the DNA that the series is well known for, while having an insightful balance between emotional story beats, horrific sequences, and action-packed gameplay that all speaks to the unique tone that is Resident Evil. Let's find out exactly why. The game begins inside the FBI's Midwest field office. We're introduced to Grace Ashcroft, a new face in the Resident Evil series. Grace is an interesting new protagonist. She's quite timid, but she's a hard worker, analytical, and has a good heart with moral clarity. She also stutters a lot. Is she supposed to be a more realistic character, how someone would actually react when put into a situation like this? And it works. I mean, I get it, she's not like Leon or other Resident Evil characters that say ridiculous one-liners.
A fucking pocket knife?
Recently, another body was discovered, following the several others that have been found with the same pathology. Grace is tasked with investigating the crime scene for further intel. The location, Wrenwood Hotel, where Grace's mother was murdered 8 years ago. Obviously, Grace is a bit shell-shocked by the experience, and even her boss understands that, and won't force Grace to go if she doesn't want to. However, there is no game if we don't, so she accepts. We cut to a scene inside Wrenwood, and this is the perfect time to detail the absolute majesty that is the graphics of Resident Evil 9. I mean, this game looks gorgeous. Like, I played on a HDR 2K monitor, and I'm not embarrassed to say my nipples got a little hard witnessing this for the first time. Capcom in general does a great job with details and background animations. Monster Hunter Wilds is a perfect example where the monsters have a variety of idle animations before combat, or even the lesser animals fighting each other, unprovoked by us. While walking down the street in Wrenwood, the rain falls down hard. Cars pass by. I could even hear conversations in the background.
Oh man, she forgave me in the end.
It's moments like this that really make me appreciate a video game's immersion. Before we explore the Wrenwood Hotel, I just want to say I'm giving away a free copy of Resident Evil Requiem on Steam. To enter, just subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. I'll pick a winner from the comments 48 hours after this video goes live. Now, let's investigate this extremely normal hotel. We arrive at the crime scene where the officer lets us through. Knowing that Grace has history inside this place, it feels immediately uninviting. Once inside, we can take a look at the investigation report, describing the multiple deaths that have occurred. Two notable details here are the black bruises that decorate the victims' bodies, and the fact that all of them were survivors of the Raccoon City Incident. While investigating the crime scene, we find a picture of Grace. On the back of the photo is a key to room 204 with a message that says, "Let's talk." And well, I don't want to be rude. In classic horror game fashion, bucket. I don't know how Dr. Gideon is controlling the inanimate objects here, but whatever, I'm fine with it. Heading upstairs, we find numerous pictures of Grace and her mother Alyssa, where we commence flashback from 8 years ago inside the same room where Grace and Alyssa were staying. Someone calls asking for Miss Ashcroft before hanging up abruptly. The power goes out, and Grace's mother knows that someone is coming after them. As we follow our mother through the hotel, the difference in speed really sells the urgency between the two. Alyssa knows something that we don't. Suddenly, we run into the hotel owner, who takes accountability for the power outage. Which, you know what? I like this guy. I sure hope nothing bad happens to him. Aw man, who would have guessed? The hooded man is temporarily chased off, and Alyssa hides something important behind this picture frame. She won't tell Grace what she's hiding, and unfortunately, she'll never get the chance to.
I do it.
Found you.
I do want to take a moment to praise the voice actor for Grace. Angela Sant'Albanio, definitely mispronounced that, does a phenomenal job throughout the entire game as Grace. She really captures the pure emotion and personality of her character, and I'm not afraid to admit, this scene did make me tear up a bit. Never would I expect to be tear-jerked by a Resident Evil game. They're not known for their emotional story beats, yet here we are. We're brought back to the present, Grace lamenting her mother's death. However, she does remember one crucial thing, where her mother hid her satchel. Inside, we find Alyssa's journal. According to her 3 entries, they've both been on the run constantly, jumping from one town to the next. The last thing inside her satchel is an MO disc, but Grace is interrupted by the same cop from earlier.
Sorry, officer. What's wrong?
He mutates into the first zombie of the game. Immediately we can tell Grace is not exactly the most graceful person in this type of situation. A whole sequence of events are dedicated to this one interaction with a singular zombie. She's not some combat specialist, just a regular person. It's a great contrast to what we've seen before in the series. Grace barely survives the encounter and her attention is turned towards the low hum of the music coming from upstairs. This is where we meet Dr. Victor Gideon, the main antagonist of Resident Evil Requiem. Now look, I really like Victor Gideon as a villain. He plays the role of a mad scientist so well. I mean, look at that helmet. That just screams, I'm insane, but also really smart. He is a former Umbrella researcher who participated in the Tyrant projects long ago. After Umbrella's bankruptcy in 2003, Dr. Gideon continued his experiments and, more importantly, his search for Elpis. At this point, we have no idea what Elpis is, but it's the main mystery behind the entire game. We'll talk about it more as the puzzle pieces come together. Now, you're also probably wondering why he looks like an 8-foot-tall corpse that's been in the microwave for too long. And, are those grills? I don't know why his mutation caused that, but it'll be explained later. In our first interaction, it's noted that Dr. Gideon has been searching for Grace for a very long time. He calls her the Chosen One. Unfortunately, we're not strong enough to fight off Dr. Gideon, who promptly chokes us out. One of my personal favorite video game characters makes a return in Resident Evil 9, Leon Kennedy. At the ripe age of 49 years old, still rocking the same haircut, and he still looks better than everyone else on planet Earth. Jokes aside, this is easily my favorite iteration of Leon throughout all of Resident Evil. His dry sense of humor and ridiculous one-liners are still key defining traits.
Should've worn a helmet.
However, his maturity really shines through in this game. For Resident Evil 9, Leon still has his unwavering sense of morality and a desire to protect others, but there's an even stronger sense of duty in this game that really shapes his character development over the years. Leon is also investigating the recent deaths linked to the Raccoon City Incident. Sherry Birkin, a returning character from Resident Evil 2, she updates Leon about the missing police officer, so he decides to go check it out. With the perfect timing of video game cutscenes, Leon finds Victor carrying Grace outside, but before he can do anything, Victor infects nearby citizens to stall Leon. Now, instead of Grace's first-person perspective, Leon is the usual over-the-shoulder, more action-ready third-person POV. And let me tell you,
Yeah, he's the one to thank for all the excitement.
the gameplay feels amazing. The contrast between Grace and Leon's perspectives is ingenious. Grace leans towards the more survival horror aspects, while Leon breaks the tension with some high-octane combat, like crushing heads with his feet as if they were plastic pumpkins. I think it was quite the risky card to play in my opinion, but Resident Evil 9 pulled it off. Having two separate stories weave together into a cohesive narrative was an excellent choice. We fight through waves of infected across the city streets of Renwood. In real time, we can see the zombies completely derail a normal night for these people. And I love it when a game does this. You're actively witnessing the zombies cause mayhem in the middle of society. We lose Victor, but we're informed by Sherry that he purchased a building after Umbrella's bankruptcy, the Rhodes Hill Care Center. Hopefully Grace is doing alright. Let's see what she's up to. While Grace thinks about what she's doing with her life, I think I need a break. Perhaps a quick nap. Which is why I use my two favorite products from Manta Sleep, the sponsor for today's video. I've been using their new sound sleep mask with total 100% blackout and built-in headphones so you can listen to me while resting comfortably on your pillow. They have built-in eye cups for perfect comfort and an adjustable strap for anyone and everyone, even this guy. Manta Sleep also provided me with their white noise machine, and I cannot tell you how much better I sleep with this thing beside my bed. Look, I have anxiety, so sometimes I become restless, but with the 15 different gapless audios this machine provides, it seriously helps me fall asleep at night. If you want to purchase your own sleep mask or white noise machine, you can click on the products below, the link in the description, or pinned comment. And by using my code GORGUINI, you get 10% off your order. Sleep is very important, guys, so let's get better rest together. Thanks to Manta Sleep for sponsoring today's video, and now, back to it. Grace has been kidnapped and is trapped inside the care center. Using our clever thinking, we escape our restraints, and now we have to figure out a way out of this place. Most of the game up until this point was story exposition, but here is where the horror takes up the mantle. I've heard many people claim that this is one of, if not the most scariest Resident Evil game they've ever played. I'm not sure myself, Resident Evil 7 was terrifying, but this game was also. Just give me a couple minutes, you'll see what I'm talking about. The sound design here is amazing. There is complete silence in the background. No music or ambiance. All you can hear is Grace's panicked breathing, creaks from the floor, and soft thumps echoing from beyond the walls. It creates a hostile environment, one where you can't really expect what will happen around every corner. Even turning on the light is an experience. And out pops a bottle from the darkness that tells us that we can throw it to cause a distraction. You can get an idea of what's about to happen. Grace finds an electrical panel with a missing fuse, so our goal is quite clear. Find the other fuse. However, there's something else nearby. Something crawling inside the ceiling. When we enter the nurse's station, we find out exactly what it is. This is the girl, Grace's main stalker enemy throughout Resident Evil 9. I made a video talking about the lore behind every single enemy, and while the girl is one of the most terrifying monsters in the game, I think her story is also the most tragic. For now, we don't know anything about her, except that she likes to snack on corpses. We read a note earlier about staying in the light, so naturally I went back to the safe room, and sure enough, light is her weakness. But now the stakes are higher. We have to get the other fuse and bring it back to the gate before the girl can catch us. Think of this small area as a sample for what's to come. There are unique interactions with the girl here, such as moving a cart that drops items on the ground, alerting her to our presence. I kinda wish there were more events like this in the game, as it forces the player to interact in different ways and respond quickly. Here, you're forced into a corner, which plays more into Grace's inexperience and the survival horror aspect. We find the screwdriver and collect the fuse, but the girl finds us too. It's a race to the gate, where Grace barely doesn't escape, and is now trapped in the dark with the girl. Leon arrives at the care center. He's guided inside by Dr. Gideon's assistant, who's actually kind of a sweet person. I sure hope nothing bad happens to her. Aw man, not again! The doctors and patients have been infected and are rampaging throughout the facility. Leon wants a second opinion while I prescribe the best medication for such terrible symptoms. The chainsaw. Just in case you were wondering, yes, Leon can still parry a chainsaw in this game. His new hatchet is a really cool feature. It's good for melee attacks, parrying, epic finishers, and when it becomes dull, you can sharpen it. I'm glad they removed disposable melee weapons and just stuck with the one hatchet throughout the game. Once we escape the room, we find Grace at the precise moment where we left off, being dragged by the girl. Leon rescues her and drills a few holes into the monster's head with his new toy, the Requiem revolver. Fun fact, it's actually inspired by the Russian RSH-12, a monster revolver in real life. Regardless, we're safe, for now. The two make their introductions and Leon questions why Grace is here. We still don't know why Dr. Gideon kidnapped her, but before we can get any more information, Victor locks down the hospital. But Leon's been in the game for too long. He knows someone's there in the darkness stalking him. I don't know why, but that got me kind of excited. Even with that instinct, he still gives Grace his Requiem. Dr. Gideon appears from the darkness and promptly chokes out Leon in a matter of seconds. So far, he's 2 for 2 in choking out people. We switch back to Grace's perspective, and this is where the game really opens up. You can explore the care center to your heart's content, and if I'm being honest, it stands out as one of the strongest areas in the entire game. The level of atmosphere, environmental detail, puzzle design, and structural intricacy is genuinely impressive. It creates a space that feels both deliberate and immersive. But in classic Resident Evil fashion, the door requires anything but a regular key to unlock. which makes me wonder about the employees. Like, how do they get in and out of the building? In any case, we have to track down 3 quartz objects symbolizing the sun, moon, and star. There's a safe room nearby, and connected to it is another room with 2 cells inside. This is where we meet Emily, a young, blind girl who's trapped inside. Grace doesn't interact with her much here, but we do find the West Wing key card from the recently deceased. The other cell is empty, and considering the large hole at the back, we can assume nothing good came from it. Much like a lot of video games, the first real level or location always has the most polish or the best details. You can really tell that a lot of work was put into the Rhodes Hill Care Center. Now, this isn't to say that the rest of the game drops in quality, not at all, but the main thing that changes are the zombies' various personalities. The care center harbors victims that have been recently infected, but they still retain some cognitive functions of their past lives. We see maids scrubbing viciously at bloodstained mirrors, a giant butcher hacking away at large piles of meat, others eating flesh in a wild frenzy. The list goes on. As the game progresses, we see less and less zombies with personality, which I'm fine with for the most part, because they keep their gameplay mechanics like picking up weapons or something similar. If anything, this helps make the care center stand out more in a positive way, because it carries unique zombie interactions. Inside the dining room, we find a new gun, and promptly use it on a few zombies in our way. We still have the Requiem, but only 1 shot at the moment, so I had to save it for a special occasion. Okay, I feel better now. The moon quartz is locked behind the cabinet. To get the quartz, we have to hit the buttons in a certain sequence. You find the pencil, find the notebook, scribble, scribble, hidden message, revealed. Putting in the code correctly gives us the moon quartz. Unfortunately, the other 2 will not be as easy. This becomes a theme throughout the game: find 3 parts. The first part is easy, but the other 2, have progressively more steps in order to actually get them. It's not a bad thing. I mean, I like it. To others, I can definitely see why it can feel like a drag for no reason. Inside the parlor, we find the East Wing key card and display cases with various rewards. Resident Evil 7 had you collect coins to unlock special items, and the same mechanic has returned in 9. I like to hoard things in these games, so it felt like a necessity to purchase the hip bag. The East Wing dons a more hospital aesthetic, with things like an operation table, blood lab, a doctor zombie, and an isolation ward. There's quite a few puzzles we can't solve just yet, but there are key 3 things we can find. First is Grace's unique tool known as the blood collector. Infected blood can be found all throughout the facility, and recently defeated zombies will even spill some blood for us to slurp up. You could say, now we have bad blood. This is your crafting kit, essentially. I don't know how, but through the power of video game science, you can craft ammunition, medicine, and a a blood injector, basically. I actually really like this new mechanic for Grace. It's a unique twist on the crafting system Resident Evil is known for. It feels different enough, but still has that Resident Evil twist to it. The Sun Quartz has a heavy lock on it that you have to melt off using corrosive acid. The second key item you'll find is the Level 1 Security Bracelet. This will grant you access to previously locked rooms and solve some other puzzles you passed by earlier. The third thing you'll find is a giant bloated baby monster. Similar to the girl, Chunk will stalk the halls of the East Wing. From now on, you have to sneak your way by and navigate the corridors with both ears on high alert. I mean, he makes a lot of noise. You can kind of pinpoint where he is. Due to his size, he can't travel too far, so you can backtrack to safety if it's necessary. I think he's a pretty cool stalker enemy, although limited, and once you understand his pathfinding, it's really not at all that bad. I think he's a cool testament, though, to the creativity of modern gaming technology, because having a creature of this size walking inside, barely squeezing into the hallways, while still being a threat, is super cool to me. Also, the jiggle physics? They are certainly something to behold. By the way, I didn't know about this until I began my second playthrough, but apparently you can kill Chunk very easily as Grace. By crafting 3 blood injectors, you can take out the big boy and put him down for good. You even get a reward for it. Like, I love it when a game does this. The unique little interactions or details like this makes the experience all the better. Inside the conference room, you find another freaking singing lady. Oh, and the corrosive bottle. Neat. Apparently, the 2 singing ladies were an isolated experiment. They had certain cranial nerves removed, resulting in persistent vocalization and wandering. They both seem to be competing with one another, putting on performances and displaying something called main character syndrome. It is very interesting to see that even the regular zombies vary in experimentation, with having slightly different in-game mechanics as a result. But we have a much bigger threat waiting for us inside the office. Victor Gideon absolutely nails the mad scientist antagonist. You know you've made an excellent villain when the viewer or player gets excited to see them on screen again. I was already intrigued by Dr. Gideon, but it was after this cutscene that really made me appreciate his character. Insanity comes in different forms, but I find the ones who carry a nurturing or even polite nature to them to be the most terrifying.
Oh, forgive me. Dr. Victor Gideon. Through you, Elpis can finally be set free.
Why me?
Oh. Because my master made you who you are.
I never knew exactly what he was going to do next, and his ambitions really intrigued me more than most other Resident Evil villains. We give him the good old bait and switch tactic, before melting off the lock and grabbing the sun quartz. Inside is also Gideon's journal that details the mutated strain of the infamous T-virus, the first virus we were introduced to in the entire series. Apparently this new strain affects the blood and is, I quote, the key to humanity's evolution. Using our new security band, we can gain access to the garage where we find the organ box and a pair of artificial lungs. Which, I mean, that was kind of easy. I mean, come on, game. I would have expected something crazy like, I don't know, a bulldozer. Thankfully, inside the garage, we also find a wrench. Much earlier, Grace broke the wheel on this door leading to the cooler due to her insane monkey strength, but with this wrench, we can open it and find the heart inside. But a new unexpected enemy appears before we can put it inside the body. Blisterheads are an abnormal mutation that triggers inside the host who carries the mutated strain of the T-virus. Their large tumorous heads are a result of excessive blood cell growth, leading to increased agitation, strength, and even agility. They become a normal enemy from this point on in the game, and from Grace's perspective, you should really avoid them at all costs. Their health is increased, and given how limited Grace's resources are, it's better just to leave them alone. Your only real weapon against them is the blood injector, which was specifically designed to take them down. Again, the contrast between Grace and Leon is phenomenal. Blisterheads here are a force to be reckoned with. With Leon, there are extra points on the scoreboard. Putting the heart inside the body jolts it to life, and you can relieve him of his living privileges to take the level 2 security band. The isolation ward is our next point of interest. We find the final cabinet, but unfortunately, the engravings are too scratched to see, but the braille is still visible. Interesting. It's pretty obvious what we have to do here, and thankfully, the level 3 security bracelet is attached to the dead man who locked up Emily in the first place. In preparation for taking a blind child through an infested zombie ward, I decided to take care of them all beforehand. Fortunately, they all lined up perfectly for a single shot of the Requiem. Okay, 3 out of 4. We return to Emily, and much like a real child, she's kind of hesitant about the whole situation. I mean, it makes sense. This random lady she doesn't know is trying to get her to leave with her, although Grace is obviously not a threat, convincing Emily to join her. Now look, I really like Emily. She's such a sweet kid that's unfortunately a part of this whole tragic story. I decided to switch the third-person view here because I kind of wanted to see the animations of Grace carrying Emily. Plus, it's just so wholesome. We guide Emily to the cabinet while zombies awaken outside. Grace fights off the zombies and Blisterheads while Emily solves the puzzle. It's quite an intense scene, and it's here where I want to highlight the gore of Resident Evil 9. You can shoot off a zombie's jaw, eyeball, or even expose a large portion of their brain. Seeing their eyes dangle from their head or their jaw while they still pursue you is a horrifying display of their resilience. This game's gore is great, and not in a way that's too flashy or over the top. Emily finishes the puzzle and it looks like all turned out okay. Never mind. See, I knew she wasn't dead because you can't have her in multiple trailers and then have her die in the first 30 minutes. The girl captures Emily and drags her beneath the care center. Grace is reluctant, but blames herself for Emily's situation, so she jumps down after her. We transition back to Leon's perspective, where he's in the middle of an interrogation with Dr. Gideon. Even when tied to a chair, Leon can't help but make snarky comments.
You know, I do have a question. When's the last time you brushed your teeth?
He gets a little frisky with our boy here before pulling back his collar to reveal strange black bruising on Leon's neck. The same exact bruising found on the dead bodies from the beginning of the game. Before Gideon can get into his villain monologue, Leon breaks free while the mad scientist runs away. Gun in hand, it's time to find Victor and figure out what's really going on here. Nearby, we find a note that details a subject with an excessive appetite due to their experiments. This is called foreshadowing. We enter an attic-like space, finding a shotgun, and the first true boss of the game. Didn't Grace already find this guy and pop him like a balloon? Well, if you read the note carefully, these chunks were twins, both subjected to the same experiment, except the one Leon encounters has a taste for human flesh. The boss fight is quite simple. Just shoot him, cleave away at his head a couple of times until he goes down. Using the arena to your advantage, you can lure him into smashing the surroundings to reveal a ladder for higher ground. Unlike with Anakin Skywalker, this actually works. And you can land a clean finisher on the obese zombie's head.
Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
I love you, Leon! We make our way inside the Sorry, I'm still getting over that clapping fit. We make our way inside the care center where Grace was previously. What's really cool here is depending on how you treated the zombies or dead bodies affects how difficult it is for Leon to get to Victor's office. Some bodies you left behind will most likely turn into blister heads. I mean, even then, with a shotgun and the hatchet, it's not too difficult, but it's a really cool detail. We make our way inside Victor's office on the 3rd floor, and it's a scene straight out of a nightmare. Countless corpses with their heads blown off show a truly horrific event that occurred here not too long ago. We find the hidden elevator and discover Gideon's secret office. It's here where we learn about Leon and Sherry's illness. They carry a mutated strain of the T-virus, one that has been dormant inside them for years. All the other victims went through similar stages, eventually succumbing to the disease. Thankfully, Leon and Sherry still have time to find a solution. This mutated T-virus was discovered by Dr. Gideon himself and dubbed as the illness Raccoon City Syndrome. There's not much else we can do here, but Grace appears in Gideon's database, confusing Leon as to what she has to do with this whole situation. We cut back to Grace now below inside the basement, prison-like ward underneath the care center. Emily is trapped inside a cell with the girl stalking us close by. Notice the countless dolls inside the same cell, indicating that the girl is a collector of some sort. You could say childlike behavior. Our goal is clear, but the means to unlock the cell is quite the maze to complete. The basement, I think, is a great area. I'm kinda surprised how much I enjoyed this place, considering I usually hate levels like this. It doesn't overstay its welcome, but has great horrific atmosphere and unique puzzles that stood out after I was finished. The main objective is to find 3 joint plugs inside the basement and bring them here to the main lever. The twist here is with each joint plug you pull out, the power in that sector turns off. So you have to juggle all 3 of these plugs in certain areas to access new sections. All the while, the girl can track you down whenever a plug is removed. It's a very clever ring of mechanics that keeps this gameplay loop fresh in my opinion. The girl shines here best as a stalker enemy. Whenever you shoot your gun or remove a plug, she tracks your location quickly. You need to move fast and quietly to avoid detection. There are some scripted events that subvert your expectations of safety, such as one of the plugs failing in the middle of exploration, or the girl finding you inside the vents. I think it's a perfect balance between free-roaming stalker mechanics and scripted sections that makes the basement a memorable, exciting experience. The basement also has one of the most horrific rooms in the entire game, a large production line of body bags and corpses rotating around a room. You have to manually flip the switch so you can progress through to the other chamber. I would suggest against finding a gap with a corpse nearby. I don't normally get jump scared by games anymore, but this one got me for sure. It's really repulsive to stuff yourself between the gaps of this disturbing chain of bodies. Who or what needs these many bodies to be processed and for what reason? In the processing room, the corpses are dropped into a pool of blood, presumably to be grinded into pulverized meat. At least that's my guess. What could this giant crushing machine be used for? We drain the water and hop down. But of course, the machine turns on and we have to survive a horde of zombies while keeping our distance away from the crusher. It's a very tense section, one with more risk than usual. It's probably one of my favorite parts about the whole care center. The whole basement area is an underground, discreet testament to the disturbing work Victor Gideon has been doing after Umbrella's end. After collecting all 3 joint plugs, we finally free Emily and safely escape through the elevator.
What's going on?
Oh wow, who could have possibly seen that coming? But there is something unexpected here.
Let's play.
That all but confirms the true identity of the girl. She's Emily's twin, the child who was inside this cell. Her collection of dolls makes more sense now. More importantly, her dress. It's very similar to the dress Emily wears. For reasons unknown at this point, we don't know what kind of experiments these two went through, but if the girl turned into this hideous creature, we can assume Emily's not far behind. With the final quartz in hand, we finally escape the care center. Outside, we find a helicopter with the pilot nearby. His boss took the key though, and because of his old war wound, it's up to us to retrieve it. Look, I know this is just a video game, but how are you gonna leave a blind child with a stranger you just met? That goes against all common sense. I mean, it's Resident Evil, I don't know why I'm complaining. Leon parried a chainsaw with a hatchet earlier. Inside Gideon's house is, surprisingly, a normal looking home. But like all mad geniuses, Victor has a secret puzzle for us to solve, which I solved in a matter of seconds, surprisingly. Grace descends deeper, where we discover Dr. Gideon's secret lab, filled with bodies and large contraptions filled with blood. According to the notes down here, Oswald Spencer, Gideon's master and the ruler of Umbrella, was trying to transfer the memories of one host to another, much like how a fruit fly's kin can retain the memories of their parents. Humanity suffers when the drive and experience of our most exceptional leaders is lost. The answer lies in the medium of memory, blood. In order for this transfer to be effective, the host must survive the mutated strain of the T-virus, while still retaining their cognitive and mental functions. This perfectly explains the large factory of bodies beneath the care center. It wasn't a production line, rather a process to acquire an endless supply of infected blood for research and experimentation. Out of all the experiments, there is one rather interesting subject. Inside this file is information on subject 170, Marie. She was injected with the blood of 115 infected, but her results were unstable, showing no signs of mental strength, so she was confirmed for immediate disposal. This is the girl, Marie, a young child who was subjected essentially to a blood overdose of the T-virus and mutated into this abomination. Going deeper inside the lab, we find the pilot's keys, and Dr. Gideon on call with someone important, but unknown at the moment. What happens after is, one of my favorite cutscenes in the whole game.
I've done it.
I don't know why he got so serious all of a sudden. Even after rewatching it while editing this video, bro, it still makes me giggle. Victor Boy initiates a self-destruct protocol, so now Grace has to escape while blood spills from everywhere, and zombies block her path. We barely survive and make it to the helicopter. However, the zombies are right on our tail. I never noticed this until replaying the game, but most of these zombies apparently crapped their pants. But yeah, that's a lot of poo. Unfortunately, the weight makes us crash. The pilot is now dead, and Emily is heavily injured. Leon witnesses the helicopter crash in real time. Conveniently, a sniper rifle is nearby for Leon to use. We have to protect Grace and Emily while they try to push their way into the chapel nearby. You know what that means. Sniper montage! Well, I tried. After they make it inside safely, Leon chases after them.
Excuse me.
Alright, buddy. Emily is badly injured, so it's up to us to keep the infected busy while they seek shelter. This is where the game introduces a new enemy. These are the Blisterborn, a brute-like mutation, essentially an evolution to the already dangerous Blisterheads. Think of them as bloaters from The Last of Us. Their unique mechanic is whenever you burst one of their organs on their bodily fluids can mutate nearby infected into Blisterheads too. It is a dangerous combination, but nothing our middle-aged prince can't handle. Following Grace and Emily, we find a warehouse underneath the chapel. It's here where we have our final confrontation against Marie. Grace puts Emily down in a safe place and locks the door behind her for safety. I think this determined look is a great indicator of Grace's character development. The stuttering doesn't stop, but her determination to save Emily bears fruit of courage. Throughout the whole game so far, she's been petrified, trembling with panic, unequipped to deal with everything the game has thrown at her thus far. However, she has a sense of responsibility for Emily's safety, so she pushes past that fear to protect her. Hopefully that reminds you of someone else back in 1998. There is a lot of connection between the two characters, and I think it's really cool to see that. I adore how her development isn't a complete 180 as well. She doesn't turn into a warrior or anything remotely close. She's still Grace, with plenty of reasonable fear, but has a slight brave demeanor about her now. We find notes that tell us there were people beforehand attempting to trap Marie inside the warehouse and lure her underneath the operable roof, effectively killing her immediately with sunlight. But the power is faint, so of course we have to restore it by flipping the 3 power distribution units in the lower area. With each power unit you activate, you're limiting Marie's freedom and constantly gaining the advantage over her. It is a beautiful contrast from our previous encounters with Marie, where she seemed untouchable. In addition to this, you can also use the Requiem to stun her. It's pretty effective. Now, every decision you make tightens the noose, turning the hunter into the hunted, and forcing her into a position she can no longer control. Once they're all activated, you can make your way towards the panel and finish Marie off for good this time.
Come on, open!
In my humble opinion, Marie was one of the best stalker enemies I've seen in recent gaming. She's intimidating in both design and gameplay, creating a constant atmosphere of tension whenever she's present. Scripted events force the player to interact with her, unlike some stalker enemies where if you're good enough, you can avoid them entirely. We make our way back to Emily, who is barely alive, when suddenly... Unfortunately, like her sister, Emily mutates into a horrid creature. Grace is of course reluctant to cause her any harm, but Leon understands she's a threat, and she has to be put down. This creates conflict between the two characters. Grace throws Leon's Requiem to the ground, signifying her defiance against his decision, even if it means putting her life at more risk from here on out. As Leon reaches for his gun, he coughs up a substantial amount of blood. His infection is getting worse. I really liked Emily. I was very upset when she mutated, but after understanding who Marie was, I knew it was inevitable. Grace encounters Dr. Gideon at the entrance along with a new face, a representative of the criminal group called the Connections. He convinces Grace to willingly go with them to the heart of Raccoon City, where all the destruction began, and where Grace can fulfill her destiny. This man is Albert Wesker. Zeno. He's showing symptoms of the same Raccoon City syndrome, but it looks as though he's been empowered by it. For now, it's time to explore my absolute favorite chapter in the entire game. Raccoon City returns in Resident Evil 9, and it is beautiful. I genuinely can't express how much I love the post-apocalyptic city aesthetic. Whether it's Resident Evil, The Last of Us, or Dying Light, that ruined urban landscape always makes for an incredible setting. Honestly, it's a topic worthy of its own video essay. After the Raccoon City Incident, a US government nuclear strike was launched to eradicate and sterilize the T-virus outbreak caused by Umbrella, and Leon returns to discover the truth behind Elpis, and of course, Grace's purpose in the grand scheme of things. I'm a sucker for a good setting, and RE9, dude, call it a lollipop, cause I'm sucking on it. Naturally, Raccoon City is in shambles. Dust fills the air, buildings are a minor testament of their former glory. The complete silence after a missile strike is both calming, yet terrifying. As Leon ventures deeper inside the city, we realize we may not be alone. Pushing through this revolving door, we see gargantuan spiderwebs spun across the various debris. Moments later, we find out who the culprit is.
Oh, shit.
This is the Titan Spinner. After years of living inside the city, infected by the T-virus, nobody was there to interfere with its mutation, causing it to grow to an astronomical size. The Titan Spinner is our first boss in Raccoon City. A grand welcome if I do say so myself. It chases us inside various buildings while we slash our way through its territory. Aw, even the babies are trying to kill us, isn't that cute? We find a good room to initiate the boss fight, where we have to maneuver around its fangs and body to shoot the giant weak spot at the back of its back. You get the idea. It's a really fun fight, one that challenges your positioning with various platforms. I'm not going to say it's the best fight out of the entire game, but I definitely miss that Raccoon City hospitality. We find the barricade where our main objective is to assemble the detonator to bust our way through. We need the signal receiver, distributor, and relay to assemble it properly. We also find an abandoned BSAA camp where it becomes our mini hub area while we find the 3 parts. Leon also finds what I'm dubbing the merchant in a box. Basically, it's a catalog for weapons, armor, upgrades, all that good stuff. At this point, Leon takes a majority of the game's remaining time, so it makes sense to do this now. I mean, if you haven't noticed, we didn't really play as Leon for a good portion of the game up until this point. So it's nice to have that, balance between the two characters. Raccoon City is free for us to explore now. I mean, there's still a linear path to take when assembling the detonator, but compared to earlier sections, the city is less corridor-driven and gives the player space to navigate the environment more freely. Now, of course, this wouldn't be Raccoon City without zombies. Yes, there are still zombies here, even after the missile strike. However, these guys are more frail in stature, barely skin and bones. My theory is that because they've been dormant for so long, their bodies haven't had any nourishment for over 20 plus years, hence their disheveled appearance. Some of them even spring up from the ground, as if the city was trying to bury them. Regardless, they are the main enemy in Raccoon City. Instead of having a variety in personality, they have a variety of weapons and gear that makes them much tougher than the zombies we saw inside the care center. Some wield flaming chainsaws, others have spears, even some can operate machine guns, somehow, that still work after all this time. I'll never forget this one section where you have to duck between cover while multiple zombies operate mortars that rain from the heavens above. It was very intense, and I died a lot. I think these new zombies add a kick to the gameplay, and this is where I realized Resident Evil 9 has the best combat in the series, without question. But this is where I have to voice my first real complaint about the game: enemy variety. I really wish Resident Evil 9 had more enemies for us to fight. There is a ton of variety in the regular zombies, which is great, there's nothing wrong with that. But a part of me would be fine with more similar zombies if it meant we got more enemy types. It just feels like it's a little bit limited. Resident Evil 9 has the best combat mechanics, but Resident Evil 4 makes better use of its combat, thanks to its enemy variety. I mean, there's 2 giants, the Chainsaw Sisters, hordes of Ganados, and their evolution of parasites. Resident Evil 4 offers longer, more engaging combat sections that really let you enjoy the gameplay. Requiem is mostly just zombies for a majority of the game, and to me, that is a disappointment. I saw that there were 27 models for the enemies, and I got really excited, only to find out half of them were different zombies from different locations. I mean, at least it's not like Resident Evil 7. We find all the parts to the detonator and promptly blow up the barricade. What followed next was, without question, the most epic scene in the entire game. It's only about 5 minutes long, but Leon riding a motorcycle in the middle of a ruined Raccoon City is freaking awesome. Seriously, this was easily one of my favorite moments in the entire game. Leon rides between and inside fallen buildings, large broken roads, while giant dogs chase him down. You have unlimited ammo during the scene, so feel free to go trigger happy. Halfway through, Gideon decides to join in on the fun. He has a rocket launcher and his own motorcycle, so now we have to fight off Gideon and giant dogs. It's pretty sick. The only thing that may be a bit controversial is the fact that the game autopilots the motorcycle. I mean, I don't mind it personally. It makes the scene more cinematic than gameplay focused, and sometimes you do need that in a video game. A quick break to have fun, but easier action. Multiple times your path gets blocked or destroyed, so you navigate around getting a chance to see the scale of Raccoon City. It really puts the city in a different perspective. After one final standoff against Dr. Gideon, we trade blows and Leon takes the win. Leon is then face to face with a familiar scene. Raccoon City's police department. It's weird, being back here evoked such a feeling of nostalgia. Even though I didn't grow up with Resident Evil, I've only had a recent history with the series since 2019, I want to say, but there's something strangely welcoming about it this time around. Perhaps it's because we've seen the police station a few times before, seeing it fade away and crumble underneath the horrors of its interior. It's barely standing at this point, and in Resident Evil 9, it's not a new location for us to spend time in, only a pit stop on memory lane. Even Leon has his fair share of lines when inside. It's such a significant place for him, where his whole story began. As much as we would like to soak in the past, we're not alone here. Zeno has been expecting us, accompanied by Grace. Following where the camera trail is, we see past rooms from Resident Evil 2 in complete shambles. I think one of the saddest revelations here is the notebook detailing the other officers planning Leon's welcoming party. I mean, you can tell they were so excited to have the rookie on board. And what do you know? It was Marvin himself who orchestrated the whole thing. After Leon left RPD, it became a safe house for survivors, before the missile strike took their lives or they died from other causes. There is only one enemy in RPD, a zombie officer.
Rest easy, officer.
After solving a couple of puzzles, we find Zeno and Grace in the middle of some important dialogue. This is where we discover what Elpis is and Grace's purpose.
Covert military units from every country on Earth come to Raccoon City for one purpose. To find Elpis.
What is Elpis?
The power to upset the military balance of the world. The last virus, created by Spencer. Designed to control human consciousness.
Mind control?
They couldn't let it be stolen. So they launched the missile strike to hide it.
To hide a virus. Why do something so extreme?
Extreme? Is it? When the president tried to investigate, they had him assassinated. And you are the key to retrieving Elpis.
Emily.
In a way. But not the girl you met. So many attempts. So many failures. Such a waste.
What do you mean?
Copies. Crafted to duplicate you. All useless. All scrapped. They each have their own sad story.
This explains who Emily and Marie are. They're defective clones of Grace, trying to replicate her DNA for liberating Elpis. All those notes about memories within the blood from Spencer, and Dr. Gideon's research makes sense now. Spencer's last virus was some sort of mind control bioweapon, and Zeno is right. If this gets into the wrong hands, or was manufactured properly, this could upset the state of the world as we know it. We get a flashback inside the orphanage from the perspective of a girl named Chloe. The other girls have mutated into violent monsters who kill off a bunch of researchers. Their heads sport various scars, indicating multiple brain surgeries. Glowing red eyes are perhaps a mutation caused by the experiments these girls went through. I'm not gonna lie, this part really sucks. Every Resident Evil game has that one section that people hate playing through, and the consensus is the orphanage flashback. You have to slowly sneak your way through the other children while they hunt down any survivors. Or dropping from the 3rd floor, because why not, I guess. I'm not gonna lie, that part did jump scare me, but it's whatever. This flashback is mainly here to show us the scale of this operation, the experiments the orphans went through, the labs underneath the orphanage, and the lack of care when dealing with defective children. We can even see embryos growing inside little pods, which to me was the most disturbing part. The only reason we haven't turned yet is because, according to this report, Chloe shows more stability than the others, which is a neat detail explaining why she hasn't turned. The game drops this huge lore twist, and Grace is understandably spiraling from the news. She blames herself for her mother's murder now, and Emily's mutation. Leon makes his entrance as Grace faints. Zeno displays similar powers to that of Albert Wesker, you know, the cool side dodges. This leads further into the theory that he is a clone himself. However, he doesn't have 7 minutes to spare this time, so he sends in a familiar friend, coming in from the top rope.
Have fun.
I remember you.
Oh, God. I remember that, too.
Can I just, real quick, did anyone else notice the pimp walk there? I thought it was funny. Anyways, he chases you through RPD until you escape into the main hall. What follows is, I think, a very depressing yet crucial scene.
Terminate. It's my fucking daughter. You're a cop. You're supposed to know something. How did this happen? Those fucking things outside. What they did to us.
I'm so sorry. Never again.
It is a testament to Leon's persistent morality and determination. Even after years of harsh training, witnessing horror after horror, he still carries the same morals as that rookie cop back in 1998. Sure, he's more battle-weary, perhaps suffers from emotional scarring, but his sense of responsibility is admirable. The way he says sorry to Mr. Kendo's remains is really tragic. It's a serious moment for him and refuels his purpose even more. The Tyrant makes an appearance as a boss fight once again. This time, he's more combat ready and is easily he's a good fight. It's a battle of parrying, shooting, and dodging cars. You know, the usual. Surprisingly, it was actually kind of a difficult fight, at least compared to everything else. Keep in mind, Leon's infection is getting worse, so he's not able to perform at peak condition. The Tyrant will charge at Leon or even jump on top of cars to perform a mighty WWE slam if you don't deal enough damage in time. His heart is his weakness, if you couldn't tell, so it's a balance of finding openings to shoot or cleave away at it. Eventually, the Super Tyrant goes down.
I'll stop you as many times as I have to.
We make our way inside the orphanage, traveling down inside the secret passages. However, yet another familiar enemy makes an appearance to stop us. And it is massive. Basically, it's so huge, you go through a mini area where you fight off its seedlings, traverse through its black vines, before coming across the main plant guarding the entrance to Ark, Oswald Spencer's hidden lab for BOWs, or bioweapons. The fight itself is okay. You just kind of shoot at it until it dies. The tendrils are kind of annoying, and after a really fun fight with the Super Tyrant, it's underwhelming. With Plant 43's defeat, Leon makes his way inside Ark. This is the classic end of the game lab area, and I really like it. Ark features this futuristic design and has some pretty crazy artifacts that make it a delight to observe. I think these two are doing yoga poses or something, I don't really know. My favorite part about the lab area in Resident Evil are the lore dumps, and oh boy, does Ark have some juicy lore for us to read about. As Leon makes his way further inside the server room, elite guards show up and crash the party. These guys suck balls to fight. They deal ridiculous damage, have insane accuracy, and armor that makes them very tough to take down. They're not the most annoying enemies in video games, but compared to the melee-focused zombies, they were a completely different animal. However, we can make use of another enemy that makes an appearance down here. Yes, the Lickers return once again in Resident Evil 9. Now these ones are called Beta 2 Lickers because they've been specifically engineered for bioweaponry. Nearby, we learn Ark is a facility made to specifically breed bioweapons with the mutated strain of the T-virus, utilizing the unique environment of Raccoon City, not just for the connections, but the entire US government. Next to that information is a catalog, featuring all the bioweapons we've come across thus far in the game. They're displayed with a brief description and their price tag, like you were shopping on Amazon. One interesting product we haven't witnessed yet is the Nemesis Gamma Parasite. It's based on the original Nemesis Alpha Parasite, but boasts performance enhancement, as well as higher physical capabilities. Keep that in mind, it'll come back later.
Backup is on the way.
Not necessary. I'll neutralize the target myself.
Mr. Hunk himself arrives on the scene. This boss fight was also really good. It's similar to Jack Krauser's fight, where the focus is melee combat. I mean, I can shoot a shotgun 5 feet away, but a quick sidestep, even though you're still in my range, negates all damage. Whatever. You have to be a parry master if you want to win. Of course, the boss will cheat and use a gun, but you still can't, so it's a matter of hide and seek if things become a bit hairy. All in all, I died once, which, in comparison to other games, it's as if I died 20 times to an Elden Ring boss fight. But overall, it was a fun encounter. Leon finds Grace and Zeno at the main terminal, the place where Elpis is locked behind a password. If the wrong password is entered, Ark will be destroyed forever. Unfortunately, due to Leon's condition, he's no match for Zeno, but Grace makes a clever play, using her life as leverage before Leon shoots down part of the structure, separating our heroes from the Wesker wannabe. Leon's condition is worsening, and before we know it, he faints from his disease. I really like the dynamic our characters have now. Again, Grace kind of represents Leon in his early years, or I mean, you could really compare it to his first day on the job. Leon is determined to make things right, since he couldn't save anyone before, and Grace now wants to live with no regrets, making things right in her own way. We switch back to Grace's perspective so we can move the crane blocking our path. Inside, we find heavily mutated zombies and Lickers stalking the area. Yet again, we have a great display of Grace's perspective on survival horror. However, there is a different tone to Grace's demeanor here. Her panicked breathing is completely gone, now replaced with calm, steady breaths. Her ability to craft now gives her advantages even over Lickers. She can take them down now with one throw of an acid-filled bottle. The details in Grace's character development in-game is ingenious. We're still much weaker than Leon, so sometimes it is best to sneak past. But if we need to fight, Grace can do that much more effectively now. We're not done with Leon yet, however, as he still needs to find his own way out. His infection is in the final stage, stage 3. So during our gameplay, Leon will have sudden bouts of coughing and blurred vision. We have to make our way out, and quickly. As we venture through Ark, Leon finds his way through, but Grace discovers something greater. Now, if you remember, Alyssa Ashcroft's satchel carried an MO disc. Grace inserts it into the console and finds videotapes of Alyssa's interviews with none other than Oswald Spencer himself. One interview is titled Grace, where we finally see her true origins.
Who is that? Is that one of your subjects?
Of course not. She was alone in the world. I took her in to make amends.
Is she
Perfectly normal. Just an average child needing a home. She is my hope. Aren't you beautiful? Would you like to hold her?
okay.
It's not explicitly said, but Grace is nobody special. She wasn't a subject. She was an orphan who Spencer adopted as a way of atonement for all the things he's caused. Grace is his hope. Leon is near death, so together we make our way towards the central console to put an end to Elpis once and for all. We find Zeno waiting for us, and we're left with a choice: destroy Elpis or release it. Destroying Elpis leads to the bad ending, where Grace survives and Leon is killed. Releasing it reveals the main plot twist to the entire Elpis mystery.
What are you doing, Grace?
Spencer regretted what he did.
Well done.
You promised.
Yes, that I would let him live. Mr. Kennedy, I give you the honor of experiencing my power firsthand.
I'm not sure Elpis is what you think it is. There's nothing special about me. I was never any king. Spencer wanted to make amends.
But you released Elpis. What is it? Tell me!
Leon!
Why? My powers!
Elpis is Spencer's atonement. It's an antiviral.
Elpis was never a virus. It was an antiviral drug. Spencer's hope and his way of making amends. I think it's a great plot twist, one that subverts expectations. I will admit, it was a bit anticlimactic, just a little bit. I mean, this game's been leading up all this time to the release of Elpis, only for it to be the cure to the things we so love to witness in this entire series. The mutations, the infections, the zombies. It's what makes Resident Evil. I would have loved to see a new virus in like Xeno or Dr. Gideon's mutation. But anyways, I still think this is a really nice conclusion. It's a unique way to conclude the whole mystery behind it all. Grace was never important, Elpis was never a weapon, and they're both a fleeting hope for atonement by Oswald Spencer. Victor Gideon, being the mad scientist he is, doesn't view it this way. He thinks this is Spencer's way of throwing everything into chaos, a way to distort world order and unleash anarchy. He claims that he will continue to carry his master's torch before killing Zeno and stabbing Grace. Injecting Leon with Elpis, he's cured of his illness, thus beginning the final boss fight in Resident Evil 9. Just in case you weren't sure, there are shotgun shells in the cutscene, so I think it's pretty obvious. Victor Gideon is a pretty good final boss, all things considered. He was an excellent villain all throughout the game, one with the right amount of intimidation, personality, and power to back it up. He's Umbrella's last skeleton. There are two phases to his fight. One where you fight his suppressed mutated form by parrying his tentacle arm and electricity. Halfway through, he picks up a rocket launcher that spawns from absolutely nowhere, and he attempts to use it. You can either shoot him and take it for yourself, or, apparently, Leon can parry the freaking rocket launcher. Look, I know Leon has some crazy feats in these games, but I think that takes the cake for me. Once he's dealt enough damage, Victor mutates into his final nemesis form, where Leon acknowledges this. Now we know what he is. He injected himself with the NE gamma parasite. There's nothing special about this form. I mean, you shoot the giant glowing weak spots and that's pretty much it. Kinda underwhelming if you ask me. Great design and presence, but lacking in gameplay. Although the final cutscene is pretty sick.
This time, you ain't getting back up.
With Victor's defeat, we seem to be at a dead end here, but thankfully Chris Redfield's men save us from the darkness. Safely secured on the surface, Leon has an extra dose waiting for Sherry, and all seems well. Grace is doing fine, even with that nemesis wound, but she only wishes that she could save Emily.
Grace, I didn't hit any of her vitals. She could still be alive.
We get an after credits scene where Grace is catching up with Leon on the phone before her boss summons her for the report. We get a close-up shot of her desk with a picture of her with her mother and with Emily. It seems they were able to save her after all. And not only that, but her eyesight has returned too. I'm not gonna lie, my eyes got a little watery when I saw that picture. Like, it's just so precious. And again, I loved Emily as a character. When the game's finished, we can check out Grace's report at the main menu. It's 60 pages worth of information, but this video is already long enough, so do it on your own time. I mean, don't worry, it's nothing new, but it does put the entire plot into a concise format. Resident Evil 9 was a masterpiece. It was a phenomenal balance between survival horror and action. We got to see a fan favorite of the series make a return and introduce a new protagonist that has become one of my favorites too. The atmosphere and level design were top notch, and the story has some of the best we've seen in the series. I can confidently say Resident Evil 9 had the best story in terms of how it was structured. And of course, the lore through the notes and some cutscenes was fantastic. Whenever I talk about a horror game, I like to give a score at the end based on the horror factor alone, and then on a personal preference. In terms of this game's horror factor, Grace's parts were terrifying, while Leon toned it down due to his more action-focused gameplay. The girl was one of the scariest enemies I've seen in recent gaming, but the enemy variety could use some work. Overall, I give this game a solid 7.9. It's not the scariest game I've ever seen, and Leon's chapters definitely put a damper on that, but when this game hits, it hits hard. In terms of my personal scoring, I give this game easily a 9. Besides my few gripes with the game, I enjoyed every moment this game offered me. It had beautiful everything. I'm sure my recency bias may be playing a part in that, but we'll have to wait and see. And that's about it. I would love to hear your thoughts on the game and your own personal opinion, but for now, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and of course, stay safe.